September is one of the most important months for the RV industry as a whole. Welcome to hbrv Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. Now, before I get started, I do have a question for you, the audience. I have gotten some requests to go back onto Spotify, Amazon, etc. I went exclusively YouTube and Rumble for the last 2 months. I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments section. Should I hook back in to Amazon, Spotify, Apple Play, all those? You guys let me know, and I'll see how it all goes. So what's so big about September? Well, first off, you have the largest RV show of the year, which actually may be the second largest now because Tampa Bay is pretty big. But for now, in the context of what we're talking about, Hershey is the largest show for RV manufacturers in Hershey, Pennsylvania. What I've been saying for the last 2 months is dealers are not going to order 2025 year models in bulk. In fact, the Oregon show, the Oregon dealer days, where dealers go and see West Coast or maybe central U.S. constructed RVs, motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels, was an absolute massacre. It was terrible. What I mean by that is pretty much it was a waste of money for the RV manufacturers to host the dealers there in Oregon to show all this new stuff, which some of it's pretty good. I mean, it's mostly like interior design changes and maybe added a floor plan, but for the most part, it's the same stuff that's been sold for the last 40 years. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but let's face it. I mean, they don't make many changes in these. Some of them, and this is a little sidebar, some of the manufacturers have drastically changed the exterior and interior look of their travel trailer or their motorhome. But for the most part, it's the same floor plans that you could have bought 5 years ago. Part of what I'm hearing from the dealers is the manufacturers do not have a game plan for the inventory in stock. No, I'm not going to expose what dealers. I'll just say these guys are large dealers. They're not small little 20 unit a month dealers. These guys sell 80 to 150 a month per location, at least during a decent economy. They have told me, plain and simple, the manufacturers have no plan. Zero. Forest River, Keystone, none of them have a game plan that does not involve ordering more product in bulk. So here's an example, okay? Now this is kind of a weird example so that we have an understanding. Let's say that Walmart, okay, largest retailer in the United States right now, Walmart, has 200 of last year's models televisions, 32-inch TVs, one of the most common TV sizes bought. Well, let's go 40-inch, okay? They have all these 40-inch TVs. They can't get rid of them. They try rollback pricing. They try advertising them. They try doing, 50% off. They try 75% off. Nobody's buying this 40-inch TV right now because in the consumer's mind, it's too expensive, okay? So the television company, let's call it brand X, is the one having the most problems selling their product. So instead of throwing a rebate at Walmart and saying, here's a rebate, when you sell down from 200 to 75 TVs, we'll call you and place an order. No, instead, that television company tells Walmart, for you to get the rebate, you got to order another 200 televisions that didn't sell for a year. So imagine that. Imagine that analogy. Imagine a car dealership that has 200 trucks that were selling like hotcakes 5 years ago, but now they can't even lose money to get rid of them. Let's say they were willing to lose $5,000 to get rid of these trucks, and they couldn't do it. Even at $5,000 loss, they couldn't move them. So they go to the factory that makes the truck and goes, I need help with existing inventory. I've got 100 trucks I can't sell. And the truck factory goes, well, we know you didn't sell those 100 trucks, but in order for me to give you money, you have to order 50 of those same trucks that didn't sell for a year. Does that make any damn sense? No. But that's where we're at. The dealers are laughing. Now, are they still going to pick and choose some 2025s to order? Of course they are. You got to have some new inventory to sell the old inventory. That is a good philosophy, but you don't need to order in bulk. So here's what I see happening based on that information. I see this. I see Hershey, Pennsylvania. That show is going to be a large push by every dealer in there to get rid of their 23s and 24s. They're going to put large amounts of money for the salespeople to sell whatever 2024 and 2023 inventory is in stock. So I'll carry this one, that's a 2025, into the show. I got 5 2024s. I'm going to make it so attractive to buy a 2024, you're not going to care about the interior or exterior design. Or if that's all you care about, I'm going to make my normal margin. I'm going to make my 9 or 10% margin instead of losing money. So this is going to be the battle at Hershey, Pennsylvania. This is the battle that we're going to see unfold to see whether the consumer cares more about the price or about the design. This is going to be a battle. So like the perfect battle to see is Forest River, Wildwood, and Salem. They completely rehauled their exterior and interior design of their travel trailers. So now we're really going to see whether or not consumers really care about the price. We're going to find out if you really care about the price. You tell me you do. But now dealers are going to be losing their butts on 2023s and 2024s. 2025s, they're going to make all the money on. Which one's going to sell more? You want my prediction? My prediction is customers, RVers, are going to actually not purchase any 2025s at the Hershey show, not in the numbers that they want. Same with 2024s and 2023s. I think Hershey's going to be an absolute dud. And here's the reason why. It has nothing to do with price. It has nothing to do with quality. It has nothing to do with YouTube or the internet. It has to do with the mindset and perception that interest rates are going to drop 4 times here at the end of this year. That's stuck in people's heads. So what it is people don't understand how money works. So let's say that happens. Let's say that by the end of December, they drop the interest rate 1 full percent. Okay? As soon as they drop that interest rate 1 full percent, dealerships and private party sellers are going to raise their prices. Because now those interest rate buyers are back out in the market. And they're going to be willing to pay more money because they save more money on the interest rate. It's never going to be perfect. You're never, ever. I know you hate me for saying this, but you will never. And the rock means never get to the point where it's very low interest rates and very low prices. It will always be a scale. When interest rates come down, prices go up. When prices will go down, interest rates go up. It's a seesaw. I'm sorry, I have a cold, so I'm really sniffling a lot. So let's make sure that we have an understanding that I think that's what's going to occur. In conjunction, that's going to affect dealer days the week after. So Dealer Days is in Elkhart, Indiana. Dealers from all across the country fly to Elkhart, go see all the major manufacturers' new stuff, get a program. Forest River's done this like interest reimbursement program trying to convince guys to order. I think this is going to be the worst Dealer Days for orders. I think it'll be worse than last year. Last year was a catastrophe. This year, Armageddon. Period. Look, Pete Legal has pretty much stepped down from the majority of his job as CEO of Forest River. Okay, that was announced, I think, a week or two ago. There's a guy taking over his position named Doug Getter. Doug Getter better wake up and smell the coffee, because at the end of the day, this is now on him. This is all on him now. Yes, Pete still has the CEO title, but now Doug Getter has all the power within the recreational vehicle side of Forest River. Not dump trailers, not marine, recreational vehicles. Wake up and smell the coffee, Doug. It's your turn to get picked on. You need to come up with a game plan. Bob Martin, President CEO of Thor Industries, you better come up with a game plan. You better have a backup plan when shit hits the fan, because it's gonna hit hard. And if you don't have a game plan, you're gonna be buried in inventory. You're gonna be buried in buyback inventory. See, that's the thing they don't realize. Most of these bigger dealerships and entities don't want to bail out Lazy Days RV. Why? Because it would be better overall for everyone to let Lazy Days go out of business. It's better for Camping World. It's better for General RV. It's better for mom and pop. It's better for the small business owner if Lazy Days just completely goes out of business. And you're probably wondering why. Isn't that sad? Yes, it is. But it will teach the manufacturers a lesson. See, this is a secret nobody says. The banks may have the money out there for the loans for the inventory. But in all reality, if you read the contract that's between the dealer and the finance company to finance the inventory, and the same contract between the manufacturer and the banks have zero risk. If Lazy Days goes out of business, the majority of the new inventory gets bought back at full invoice by the manufacturer. It's basically like a cheat code for the banks, because the recreational vehicle market, including boats, including side-by-sides, dirt bikes, etc., can be a volatile market. When economy's garbage and crap, it's really bad. But see, this is where inventory control comes into place. If everyone had good inventory control, both at the dealership level and at the manufacturing level, if both of them had excellent inventory control, we wouldn't be in this situation. Now, I put the majority of it on the manufacturers right now. 2 years ago, I put it on both 50-50. The dealers did their job. It's time for the manufacturers to step up and do their job. Their job, if they don't want to buy back all this inventory from the dealers, buy back all this inventory from the banks, and be stuck with all this inventory sitting in a yard, there's got to be a wake-up call somewhere. And it's got to come from the absolute top of the food chain. This can't be the GM of Coachman or the GM of Montana or some sales manager for XYZ brand. It can't come from there. It's got to come from the very top. The very top needs to wake up and say a stuffed dealer is not a good dealer. A stuffed dealer is someone we should be making sure gets out of the inventory so we don't have the exposure. See, it doesn't matter what state they're in. See, that's what most of these GMs don't understand. The contract isn't from the state. The contract is from the bank. The bank makes the manufacturer sign these agreements to floor the inventory. Unlike cars, unlike other products where the full risk is on the bank, there's no risk. So a dealer could have paid all this interest for 300 days on a fifth wheel, go out of business on day 301, and the manufacturer of the fifth wheel has to buy back that fifth wheel at full invoice. It's pure profit for the banks. Pure profit. High five to them. Now, I'm not mad at them. Trust me, I'm not mad at them about it. I understand it because I've been in the industry a while. So I understand it. I've been through the Great Recession. I've been through this economic mess. I've been through the 2014 mess. There's always been a mess at some point every couple of years. So the reality is that this is on the manufacturers. Now, speaking of that, dealerships need to get smarter and private party sellers need to get smarter about used inventory, okay? If you're a private party seller, you have to understand that your coach is being bought or being attracted to by different people so they can scam the government, okay? What I mean by that is, let's say you live in a high sales tax state like New York or Arizona, or whatever the case may be. Actually, Arizona, there's no sales tax on used. Okay, but you're in a high sales tax area that charges you sales tax or high fees for the DMV to purchase a vehicle. Well, when you go buy a vehicle of any kind, private party, you can manipulate contracts. Okay, I bought a 2020 Nissan Altima for $1 from my neighbor when I really gave him like 15 grand or 20 grand or whatever. So then they go down and they So you have to understand, the private party buyer doesn't buy from a dealership because they don't want to pay the government any money. Okay. Now, does that mean you're getting a better deal? Maybe. I couldn't tell you. I think that's on a case-by-case basis. I think it depends on what's wrong with the vehicle. I think it depends on so many other factors besides this one little factor of government fees and sales tax. The biggest difference I've ever felt that buying from a dealership, especially when it's a used vehicle, you have a better chance of recourse than you do if you buy it privately. Okay, so there's a lot of states, I think there's 32 or 33 states that require the dealer to make sure the brakes actually work, that there's no propane leak, that all your refrigerators work. So we have to think off the top of our heads, right? Which one do you have more recourse with? Which one do you have the more opportunity that everything works? I've been scammed by private party people. I remember, what was it? 2009, okay? 2009, I was living in the back of a Lincoln Continental. When I first got in the RV industry, I was living in the back of a car. I've never told anybody that or spoke about that or anything of that nature. But, I bought this Lincoln Continental from a private party person, and everything that you can imagine went wrong. The guy you could look up every Carfax back then. You could look up everything. You could do everything right and everything correct and find out that it was a screwed up car that can't be registered, that eventually got towed away because I could never register it. I could change the title over, but I could never register the vehicle. even though it had a California title, even though it wasn't salvaged. It's a long story, but I got scammed by buying a private party car because I thought in my mind I was saving myself, $700-800 by buying it from this guy rather than buying one from a used car lot, where I would have had to pay sales tax and where I would have had to pay, more DMV fees. But at the end, the dealer is responsible in a lot of states for registering the vehicle. Okay, now there's states that you're not. Nevada, it's all on the consumer to register the vehicle. You have to make sure you have a clean title, you can run all that crap. It has to run through the DMV system properly on the dealer side. But the reality is, used, and again, it's all philosophy, it's all personal preference. There's a lot of you that are going to come in the comment section and start screaming and yelling, it's because you're a dealer, you're telling people that. There's no way, and pound your chest like you're the biggest expert on the earth. I understand that. I understand that concept. I understand why you feel like it's the best. I'm about small government, not a lot of government spending. I want the government out of my life. But the reality is we pay taxes, okay? And I don't believe in dodging sales tax and registration fees and, faking documents to help people out with registration fees. I just don't believe in that stuff, okay? Doesn't mean it's wrong to do it. Everybody has their own philosophy. I'm not here to judge. But at the same time, you also have to understand what the value of a used RV is, okay? So a lot of guys base this stuff on what people are listing coaches for. So I actually been helping out a consignment lot and a new dealership lately with marketing. I just helped a dealer up in Idaho with their marketing. So, there's a lot of dealers I've been speaking to. And one of the things that I did was I talked to a customer about a big motorhome that he wanted to get like $200,000 out of. It's only 2 years old. He paid $255,000. Well, the reality is because the market correction in March of 2024, that motorhome really is only $180,000 piece, retail. Okay. But he listed it for $200,000. 3 months went by, not one person came on and said anything about the lead or about whether they were interested. Now that's been lowered to 180, all of a sudden, I've been told by that dealer that they've been getting phone calls on it. Yes, there is what people are listing things for. Most of the time, people are listing things what they owe on it, and they know they're upside down. They're just trying to get out of it without any money out of pocket, because a lot of people don't have money, especially right now. Groceries are high, gas, whatever you want to say. A lot of people, let me rephrase this. A lot of people went and bought travel trailers, motorhomes, dirt bikes, power sports stuff back during COVID, when you didn't have to pay rent, when you didn't have to pay any bills, and you were getting a free check. Okay, now that's not to punish anybody or judge anybody, but let's face it, when the bills started coming back in, it started becoming harder to afford the toy. Wages didn't go skyrocketing up like the news claims it has. Okay, now you had to go back and pay rent. Now you had to go back and pay your car note. And now there's consequences to not paying your bills. Now all of a sudden you're seeing a lot of these travel trailers and motorhomes and used new, old newish, all coming back on the market for what they owed on it. And they don't have any money to write it down because, again, at the time when they bought it, they were getting free money. That's just a fact. Okay? Nothing wrong with it. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it. And the reason why I don't feel like anything's wrong with it is because if the government was that stupid to hand people free money, and the government was dumb enough to make it illegal for you to charge money or kick people out of their homes for not paying rent, then they deserve what came to them. If I were to go back and go talk to President Trump and President Biden, I'd say, hey, look, guys, instead of giving people money, just tell people they don't have to pay rent for the next 90 days until the lockdowns are done. And leave it at that. Make it a memorandum. The check goes to, you have to apply for, this check, and this check doesn't go to the consumer who has to pay rent. It goes to the rental company or the person who owns the property. That would have solved all that. Of course, then we wouldn't have had the big boom of COVID units, right? And the big boom of COVID RV. So it's a tricky situation. There's no way that anybody could be right or wrong about it. I'm not trying to be a right or wrong person. I'm just saying, like, the way things were handled is a lot of reasons why people are trying to get out of their rigs. And they're trying to do it the right way. They're not trying to just give it back to the bank and repossess it. A lot of people are trying to actually sell their rig and do things right and pay back the bank. But instead, a lot of people are ending up in repossession. The repo rate went up, I think, 0.25% month over month in the RV industry, which is a big number. It's not a small number. But again, guys, this is the problem. People hear all this stuff and then they go, I can go buy a $500,000 motorhome for $50. That's the mentality some people have. That will never happen. Will you, if it gets repossessed, can you buy it for 90 cents on the dollar, 85 cents on the dollar? Sure. But remember, the bank has to try to recuperate as much money. They have a certain amount of money they can lose and recover through insurance. And the rest of it, they have to get themselves at auction or on a dealer lot on consignment. So just remember those things. Not everything is sunshine and rainbows, and not everything is like going to be a fire sale. Everything must go. Till next time, toolkit and sense of humor.